Welcome back to another edition of the Creator Spotlight. Today, my guest is Arend Richard, who is in the process of opening up, I don't know if it's the first social club, but definitely one of the coolest social clubs in Colorado, Cirrus Social Club. Welcome, Arend. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Lars. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you've had, quite an extensive journey as I was doing research for this interview. It's crazy all the things you've been doing in your career thus far. But could you kind of take us back to the beginning and share like your first experience with cannabis, and then ultimately how that led you to getting into this industry?
Yeah, two different things. First
Yes.
experience and what led me to cannabis. First experience was the typical in high school. I was a senior, had an older cousin. We were at their apartment, tried weed for the first time, and just remember laughing for like an hour about a commercial about llamas on TV. So that was pretty fun. And then how I got into the cannabis industry, I was prescribed cannabis back in 2012 for a rare blood cell disease that I was born with, and it changed my life. It just made quality of life so much better. I was able to stop taking a lot of pills that I was having to take to regulate the symptoms, and it just improved my life not only with my health but with like my mind and my spirit and how I view the world, and it just had the best impact on me. And so that kind of spun off into accidentally creating content around how to consume cannabis for other people that a lot of people used to watch back on YouTube, and then just ever since then been in the weed industry.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the health issue. It's something that is pretty much universal across the board with everyone I talk to, whether that be someone in the creator spotlight or the founder spotlight. Almost everyone has a similar story to yours. Obviously, different ailments and things like that, but it really is a unifying cause for most people. So you mentioned the YouTube channel. You were able to grow that to roughly almost 200,000 subscribers before it was deleted.
Yep,
Yeah.
quite a
So,
journey that year and a half was.
so take me through that experience. What was the channel called? What was the startup, and how did it ultimately journey through starting, making, and then ultimately getting deleted?
Yeah, the channel was named after me. It was Arend Richard, but I was kind of known as the gay stoner on YouTube, which proudly and happily so. It ranged from educational content about how to consume cannabis. It ranged from unboxing products. I had a series where I unboxed boxes from Hippie Butler, which was this really awesome subscription for cannabis consumers, kind of like upper tier, really cool stuff. And I would take a bunch of edibles and unbox them, and maybe a little bit overconsumption vibes for sure, but it was always a really good time. I have really great memories of doing that, and it was incredible. I was able to quit my day job of managing restaurants, which I did enjoy, but I loved doing YouTube, and I wanted to be a million subscriber YouTuber. I had a goal to do that, and I was able to quit my job managing restaurants and make more money than I never made in my life. YouTube changed my life, and then one day, all of a sudden, my channel was deleted, along with hundreds of other people who were creating content about cannabis. And that moment was like incredibly jarring. I was very lucky to be friends with a lot of the other people who were deleted, so it
Hmm.
felt like I wasn't alone in it, but it was tough.
Yeah, and that ultimately led you to co-founding WeedTube, correct?
That's right. Along with a bunch of other crazy stoners from the internet. We founded WeedTube in 2019. The
Hmm.
app launched as well, and it had 6 million users at its peak. It was incredible. Fun ride of a lifetime.
Yeah, and so through that, you've been a pretty big advocate against censorship in the cannabis industry, and how does that approach has that shaped in your approach to business and content creation overall?
That is such a good question. I definitely consider it, and I am aware of the censorship, and I want to try to find ways all the time to break through with something compelling that is like
Hmm.
viral worthy or that people want to watch while not stepping on the toes. Because I probably am like, well, I was public enemy number one for those social medias, creating a lot of awareness about, it's everybody else got their YouTube channel back years later. I'm the only person who
Uh,
never got mine back. So like I was definitely on the radar of some people. So I'm definitely aware of it. I still think my Instagram isn't capable of reaching any new people. And I don't know. I feel like my name is kind of blacklisted on some social medias, but it is what it is. That's why we work through Cirrus now.
Yeah, I have experienced a lot of that myself. So my LinkedIn's been banned like 4 or 5 times. I keep getting it back, but it's been banned.
What are
I
you doing
manage.
on LinkedIn, Lars? What's going on LinkedIn?
I have no idea. I'm not even posting like flower pics or anything like it. Everything I talk about mostly is beverage, and so just cans and obviously using the word cannabis. But
Are you making anyone mad, Lars? Are you have any enemies out there?
I don't think so. But you never know.
Because that's usually what it is. It's people reporting stuff.
Yeah, that's totally possible.
I love LinkedIn. I'm new to LinkedIn, but I love it.
Yeah.
If you're watching right now from LinkedIn, comment hi from LinkedIn, and just know that we love you out there on LinkedIn. And I totally understand how to use that social media platform.
Yes, it's well, so I manage a few other accounts on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and you know, I'll post something for them and it'll get like 15, 17 likes and it'll have like 4,000 impressions. I'll post something, have 60, 70 reactions, 20 comments, and a couple reshares, and I barely make it to 1,000 impressions. So your comment about being blacklisted or shadow banned definitely hits home for me as
Yeah.
well.
Absolutely. I'm thinking of starting over, Lars. What do you think? I'm thinking about starting a brand new Instagram and just starting over because I'm like, I feel like I should be able to do better than I'm doing, and I think it's just because I'm shadow banned. What do you think? Should I start over? Help me make this decision.
Yeah, I think you should, and then you can talk about the censorship and hopefully you just grow a new following that's super engaged and continue to grow from there. Share
That'd be
the
great.
stories of a founder.
I put
And
that on my.
there you go.
Okay.
So let's talk Cirrus Social Club. You know what? Obviously, you used to manage restaurants. You obviously have a deep connection to the plant. But what inspired you to get into cannabis hospitality? And ultimately, what's your vision for Cirrus?
It all came from being like on a date and seeing everybody in this space who was drinking and having their fun where they were in this space and feeling like I have to keep going out to like the parking lot we were at a bowling alley and I had to keep going out to the parking lot to hit my vape or smoke a joint or whatever and then come back in and I was like, I wish I could just, even if it was a drink, like have a beverage that
Mhm.
was what I wanted it to be. And that's when I started doing research and found out that Colorado had just legalized marijuana hospitality. And I found out everything you have to do to like make that happen and just started pushing and driving forward and checking all the boxes and making sure that I was able to do it. And I think, I took about 6 months of development and searching for real estate. And
Mhm.
because originally I wanted to do like a giant adult funplex with cannabis and like have laser tag and all this. I didn't really want to do that, but like that was the jumping off point, right?
Yep.
And so I looked at a bunch of different real estate, and when I found the building where Cirrus is actually going to be on East Colfax Avenue, I knew as soon as the landlord took down part of the drop ceiling, and I saw this big, beautiful barrel ceiling. And as soon as I saw that, I knew that this was where Cirrus was supposed to be. And I didn't know it was called Cirrus. So signed the lease, and then I was like, well, holy shit. I need to find a way to fill this place 8,600 square feet full of people as much as possible. And that's sort of where the brand development idea for what Cirrus is started to come from.
Shit. And I've been following Cirrus for a while now. I'm not sure if it was right at the beginning, but I have been following yourself and the the account on Instagram for a long time, and there's been a lot of different unique features. You've shown renderings of what it's going to look like and things like that. But talk to me about the Steinway piano and flight attendants, which is an awesome name. But where do those come from, and how do you envision that vibe inside of the social club?
The Steinway comes from a strong need to have the right music fit in the background of Cirrus. I went to school for music, didn't finish, but I went to school for music. And music, I think, when you're talking about curating a vibe for people to spend time in, and really we have this rule in the brand of Cirrus called the Nana rule, which is whenever we ask if we're going to do something with Cirrus, we ask, would Nana still go? Would she feel comfortable going? And if
Hmm.
the answer is yes, then we'll do it. And if it's no, then we won't do it. So when you take into consideration someone like Nana coming to Cirrus, you have like, what's the background that she would be comfortable with? And sort of what I decided was light piano, jazz, maybe a three-piece band on a big Friday night, but
Hmm.
light piano, soft music in the background because it's about what's happening at the table. It's not necessarily about the environment. So I wanted to get a piano. And then my investment partner was like, I think if we're going to do that, let's get a Steinway because that's how we'll get into Architectural Digest. And the interior designer loved that idea. And so we got a Steinway. But when we got the Steinway, I said, can we custom order it? Can we have something, not just like a big black piano? And they told me I could. So I picked out, we went through so many different color choices. Steinway was probably fed up with me sending us different possibilities of what it could be. And I came on this shade of like cloudy pink that's just absolutely beautiful. They've never painted a piano that color before, so it's the only one in the world like it. And it's a fascinating instrument. It is so cool.
And I think I don't know if you're giving every employee one of the bongs that you made with the Cirrus Social Club logo on there and everything. Is that something you're going to be giving every single employee?
You know what? These bouquet ones were a limited run. There was only 420 of them. I have barely any left to give anyone. So my investment partners have them, and pretty much all of the original team has one as well. And some of our guests who have been lucky enough to get their hands on them. So will everyone have them into the future? They will definitely have, everyone will have a special piece of Cirrus seshware that they
Hmm.
may even use as part of their job. They will all have that for sure. And I'm sure there will be plenty of other perks.
So I'm not sure if you're familiar with, well, you probably are familiar with the brewery, but New Belgium Brewery up in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
They give away on your 1 year anniversary. They do a new design of a bicycle every single year that they give out to all of their employees once they hit their 1 year anniversary, and it's a new design every year. Could be
That's
something that you do with the bongs every single year.
get
New design.
a special 1 year custom gift each year. Sorry, I'm just writing this down.
Yeah, and so then I did a tour. I did a tour of New Belgium last year when I was out there, and they just have all the different designs throughout the years, just hanging out throughout the brewery. So it's really cool. But
Oh,
could be something you guys do as well.
very cool.
And then I know we've communicated a little bit on LinkedIn as well. Feel free to not answer this, but you said
Oh,
there is going to be an exclusive partner for cannabis beverages at Cirrus. Do you want to break the news here today?
that's funny because I think I did say that. That was a while ago, right, Lars? That was
It was a while ago.
okay. Well, there isn't one yet. There
Okay.
was something that almost happened and it fell through.
Okay.
Um, and I still am disappointed that that is not a thing yet. But we are working on a exclusive partnership for our house flower strains.
Mm-hmm.
We have a premium flowers partnership with Green Dot Labs already, which is so wonderful. But we're working on a house flower partnership, which I can't say who yet, but I'm very excited about it.
I'll let that slide then.
I'm like, what could I could give you something if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
I gave somebody else an exclusive earlier today, so I'm trying to think what would be a good exclusive to you. Ask me another question and I'll think of an exclusive for you.
All right. So
Okay.
beyond cannabis, obviously you have this whole life that you're basically just creating things. So you're also a sci-fi author. Can you tell us
Oh,
about your Being Found book series and what inspired you to write it?
yeah, I can. Thanks for bringing that up, Lars. Yeah, I wrote two sci-fi novels. There's a third one in the works, and I wrote the first one during the pandemic. The
Hmm.
majority of it, I had started working on the story many years before when I was living in New York City, and it's basically it's a sci-fi novel series. The main character gay, but it's not really like the focus of the story. So essentially, I wrote a story for like the 15-year-old version of myself who was at the library, like desperate to find a main character that he could relate to. That's kind of what I wrote it for. It's a really good book. It's been very well received by everyone who's read it. I think one day it will become a Netflix limited series. I hope I'm manifesting that for it. But it's just this lovely little side pocket thing that has been a creative outlet for me. And I've always been a storyteller my whole life. Like when I was a kid, I told stories all the time, and people would be like, "Aaron, you're lying," and I'm like, "Yeah, but isn't it so interesting?" So it's really nice to have like taken the time to have written that book and to have done it before Cirrus too, because Cirrus is going to take over my life for sure. So the fact that they're out, I am not someone who doesn't finish something I start. So I have to make sure that I make that series come all the way to fruition. And it might not have happened if I had waited.
Yeah. So that was gonna be my next question is, how do you find the time to do all these different things? You had the YouTube channel, you read a couple books, now you're starting a social club. Where do you find the hours?
To be fair, about a year ago, well, in January of this year, actually, I committed to I'm going to focus on one thing at a time. So for the last 10 months and 2 days, I've been working on getting funding for Cirrus. And once that's done, the team is so, like, everything for Cirrus is ready. It's so ready. Like, there's nothing we have to do. Like, everything is ordered, everything's ready to go. I can take a nice, lovely 5 or 6 days, go up to the mountains, word vomit a book into a computer, and then send it to an editor and the people that take care of the rest of it. So that's kind of my goal with that. But you're talking about a career that spans 7 or 8 years. You know what I mean? There was a lot of time in there.
So, looking ahead here, what are your goals for Cirrus once you do launch, and then ultimately the Colorado cannabis industry as a whole?
Goals for launch would be to be on a wait list for a very long time and perfect the standard of service as much as possible so that we can be able to replicate it across the country. But really perfecting Denver and making enough money to have an impact on the city and the state that I'm from and that I love, and really being able to have a positive impact on people's perception of cannabis and what it is.
Yeah. And, lastly, like I said, you've done a lot of different things here. What advice would you give, new entrepreneurs coming into, whether it be the hospitality side of things or the cannabis space?
My overall advice to anyone who wants to succeed in life would be that the only way that you're going to be able to do it is if you believe in yourself, and it's also not going to be easy. And it's so funny to be saying this because you hear it your whole life, but it's like you almost don't get it until you really commit to it and do it. There was like a time about a year ago when I thought I was going to have to give up on Cirrus and then it wasn't going to work and I wouldn't be able to get the funding because it didn't happen right away, right? Like 60 days of funding, 25 pitches, $0. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I had to put my big boy pants on. I had to learn all the things I had to learn. I had to take every step and I had to become the person that could get the investment. And I had to make Cirrus be the proposition that was worth it. And it made me a better person and it made my company a better company. I believe in the long run. Again, Cirrus could flop. We don't know. Maybe no one will come. But I think if you really want to do something, it's going to be tough and you just got to fucking do it. And you got to get after it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You hear all these different phrases growing up, discipline, consistency, believe in yourself. Like they all sound so trite when you haven't done anything yet, or you're like, I don't need to do that. I can, I have enough talent, whatever. But it really is so funny once you do start doing whatever it is that you're creating and consistently do it every single day, even when you don't feel like doing it. Whether that be working out, creating a company or whatever. You just see so much growth on the days that you don't want to do something, or that, say, no, I can do this even if some days you feel like you can't, like you said. But it's so true. Like they sound trite, and then you do the things, and it's like, no, it
does. It really does. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of days when the saying of, as long as you're consistent every day, you'll outpace everyone. That is true. Because most people, you don't realize until you've accomplished something you wanted to do. And, I raised the first round of money. I'm feeling so good about that. You don't realize until you're at that point how much, all the times you wanted to give up that you just said, no, I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to get better. How many times other people gave up along the way? That's how you get that little piece of what's available is you cannot give up. You just have to keep going and be consistent.
Absolutely.
Because nobody else around you is,
And, you had that first win. It may not have been the full amount, but, how many people stopped there versus continuing to keep going to the ultimate goal, or got complacent, or that's good enough, and then stopped. And so, it is crazy. But now you did mention you wanted to have me ask a few other questions, and we'll come back to is there any breaking news you'd like to, and it's okay if you don't.
Well, I do want to share. Okay. I do want to share. I'm just trying to think of anything because I said an opening time frame to somebody earlier,
Mm-hmm.
so that would be super exclusive for you. But it's January. Hopefully is but I'm not guaranteeing that. It could be February. Let me keep thinking. Ask me more
Okay.
questions. I want to tell you something. I'm trying to think of what is interesting.
So, all right. So you're thinking January, February. That makes me not. I'm sure you want to open. I'm sure you're like I want to get going, but it makes me happy for myself because I am kind of in the works of planning a trip to Colorado in February.
Good.
You know,
Are you on the wait list? You better get on the wait list.
I think I added to myself to the wait list.
Okay.
I'll double check. If I'm
Okay.
not, then I'll be mad at myself for not
And
getting in
everyone
sooner.
watching, go get on that wait list. Cirrus Social Club.
Exactly. I will. I'll do it myself. Make sure that I am. I'm pretty sure I am. But if I'm not, I will add myself. But then I will also include the link in the newsletter as well.
Okay.
But that is all the questions I have actually. If you,
Okay. I think I have an exclusive for you.
all right.
I'm gonna tell you a little bit about our food menu,
Ooh. Okay.
which we really haven't told anybody about. So this is really fun. So our food menu is it's all small plates and shareables is kind of the goal. And it's very whimsical. We've taken a whimsical / nostalgic approach to it. So for example, one of the things that we're really excited to have on the menu is what we call Miss Trenchbull's cake, which millennials out there hopefully will remember the movie Matilda, where the principal of the school, Miss Trenchbull, had a chocolate cake that someone ate, and so she made the little boy eat this giant chocolate cake. And so we have this cake that we've designed with our food distributor that is like 8 inches tall a slice and so wide and nice and thick at its biggest point. And it is just this giant chocolatey, fudgy piece of cake. For the other dessert that we have a group sundae that is about this large of a bowl, full of ice cream and beautiful toppings. You can also do dairy free. And it's for you to share with a table of 2 to 4 friends.
Love both of those. And now that you're mentioning food and the fact that it's going to be a consumption lounge as well, that sounds both amazing and highly dangerous.
Yeah, you're going to be high as heck, and we're going to deliver you the most beautiful munchies that are also going to hit you with a tinge of like, oh, that's cool,
Yeah, that's my biggest weakness when consuming is
Me
sweets.
too.
Sweets.
Yeah, me too. Chocolate. I need chocolate all day.
I went to a steakhouse with my parents for my birthday last week, and so the waiter brought us this giant plate full of desserts, like all the desserts that they have on the menu. They put on one plate for me. I'm like, that's way too many desserts. And so it was cookies, basically same type of chocolate cake you're talking about. There's a carrot cake and a couple other things. And we were stuffed, so we didn't eat very much, but they sent it home with me. And, my, stoner ass ended up consuming that whole thing over the weekend every single afternoon after I had a few edibles or had drinks. And it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And
it's not all desserts on our menu. We have a full menu, and I haven't told anybody about any of the menus, so that's a little sneak peek of what you could experience towards the end of your sesh experience at Cirrus with the dessert menu. And if we're going that intentional with the desserts, you can only imagine what the mains are like,
And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys will not be able to serve, not that I want any, but you're not going to be able to serve alcohol too, right? It's just going to be...
No, we wouldn't.
Yeah,
I want to be the place where people go to sesh together. I'm here for cannabis, not alcohol.
Yeah. That's what I thought, but I just had to ask. Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Arend. It was a pleasure to finally meet you in person. Hopefully, I'll see you out in Colorado here in a couple months. And until next time, guys, cheers.
Thank you so much, Lars, for having me.
Absolutely.